Well, here it is again. I know the moment you've all been waiting for. The Israel update. Da, 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 da. The Israel update. Yes. Hanoch Young here in Modi'in, Mike Clayton in Franklin, North Carolina, brought together simultaneously by the wonders of telecommunication. Hey, Mike, how are you? What's going on?
Well, you have a lot more energy than I do right now. um, I'm still kind of on the heels of two youth conferences. One of them being revived this past weekend at in Franklin, Tennessee. I have to remember, I live in Franklin, North Carolina. Met Barry Phillips up in Franklin, Tennessee. We actually played golf at Franklin Bridge, and then Barry was speaking in the Franklin room in Franklin, Tennessee, and I made it back to Franklin, North Carolina, I think. So yeah, that's what my business card says.
Wow.
But it was an incredible time, and I'm right now in the process of kind of changing my whole thought process to Friday. I leave for to see mutual friends, Tom and Cornelia. Eubanks
Oh,
down
great.
in Canton. So I'm looking forward to that. Anybody that's in the area, come down, spend the day with us there. But I tell you what, Revive
I
was
think we just froze, did we?
no, you froze, but I didn't. Yeah, you're back. Are you kind of back? It's recording on my side, so it's okay. Are you there?
Okay. Ooh, yeah, I'm here. Do you see me? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. It's all recorded on my end, even if you froze with one of your it's amazing, Hanok, how, when something freezes, it's always that face, that you really wouldn't want to have frozen in time.
It's never a big smile or a sympathetic look. It's always one of these like, yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
Not good at all.
yeah,
Not good at all.
yeah.
Well, while you were at Revive, all around the world, we got to experience one of my most favorite parshiot, the Torah portion, one of the ones I love the most, Parshat Pinchas. That's the one. Let me summarize it for you. Quick, Mike, hand me your spear. I just love that. I just absolutely love that. However, it is one of the most misunderstood of all elements
Okay.
because zealousness by itself is less than worthless.
Well,
There's got to be a reason.
yeah, zealousness by itself is actually destructive.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
unfocused zealousness, and I think that's the thing with Pinchas that really speaks to me on this. And if there was a Torah portion that I would say, well, Hanok Young should have been born on this day, it would have been this Torah portion, not one in like a week or two. But because you do have a birthday coming up, don't you?
It's funny. It's been about 3 weeks in a row that none of that infamous family of sisters,
Yeah.
shockingly, none of them, all 11 or 17, I don't even remember how many anymore, none of them are having a birthday, but evidently, oops,
There you are.
evidently, I have to acknowledge that, yes, um, before we get on and record next week, I will have experienced another chronological, you know, you know, mark on the wall. What can I say?
Yeah, let's see if my memory
Just,
serves me. Isn't it July 12th?
yes, it is.
Okay, so
Yes, it is.
everybody make sure that you send Hanok Young the all those wonderful birthday greetings and things you would have always liked to say to him on that day. But this would have been the Torah portion that I would have put you in because, it's very similar to in the South. You go to a redneck convention and there's this saying of "Here, hold my beer," and you know that something's about to happen that you should get on
Right.
video. With Hanok, it's like, here, here's my sword, knowing that something's about to be destroyed. But with Phineas, with Pinchas, the key to his zealousness is that he entered into the same zealousness as Hashem, which means
Exactly.
he had a focused zealousness. What is, I kind of cut you off, but in your thoughts, you're kind of go to that too, if you would.
Well, that's exactly. Um, it has to be what we refer to as l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven.
Ah,
Violence, in and of itself, can be a real rush. I mean, back in the days of Jewish militancy, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, not only were we doing good things, but it's exciting. You're not doing it for the excitement, but there's a real sense of accomplishment when you can destroy $15,000 of plate glass windows. And in present, kids don't do this at home. In present day terms, that would be several multiples of that. That was $15,000 back in the mid 70s.
yeah,
So that was,
yeah, we do want to give this disclaimer here that we do not in any way encourage anyone to have the same testimony of life that Hanok Young has.
no, for sure not. It was a function of the times. And for instance, with all the demonstrations and things, we never did anything violent towards any police officers ever.
Yeah.
Ever. That was in America, that was in Moscow, that was in Israel. Yeah, it's, but it was a different era. But it leads me to the tone that we've mentioned over the last few weeks of re-envisioning each and every one of our personal roles in the restoration of all of Israel. Now, for those who haven't yet watched your presentation at Revive that was put up online about the responsibilities to the Jewish people, now I've had the pleasure of hearing that, I don't know, probably 5, 6, maybe 7 times. This was probably the most powerful in my mind. It came across that way. As we've discussed personally, it changed the mind of at least one person who reached out to me to, fences and move forward again for the restoration. It's not anything personal. Although I always come across like everything is, it's not, people can diss me as me. I couldn't care less. But dissing me as the one Jew who embraced this entire movement and every individual in it with open arms, has greater ramifications, all of which are serious. But you're about to say something.
Yeah, so that's the recordings of that is no longer on Facebook. They will be at some point on Hebrew Nation or Hebrew Roots Network Facebook site and their website and everything. I've done that message a number of times. This message literally, Hanok, is over 20 years old. The notes that I had in front of me, which I don't use anymore, but I have them there, go back to May of 1998. Those are the exact same notes. And, but it hit me. And I know that theologically, we would have to probably, take a little truck ride to figure all this out. But, because we do come at it with different places, and that's fine. That's who we are. but it just really
Right.
dawned on me of this thing of Romans chapter 11, of branches being broken off that others may be grafted in, but for the sake of the branches that were broken off will one day be grafted in also. um, it just dawned on me that it's kind of like going out and the grafted in branches are looking down and literally trampling on the branches that have been broken off, instead of, you know, instead of going up to the tree to be grafted in and like respecting and saying, wow, you know, that branch is taking a back seat, if you would, for a moment, so that I can be part of this. Instead of doing that, it's like, you know, wow, we don't need that branch, throw it in the fire. You know, it just all of a sudden dawned
Yeah.
on me that, and if that, you know, if that whole picture comes about as it appears, that there's going to be those same branches that were broken off are going to be grafted back in. And if that branch is grafted in, like, you know, like right next to me, I don't want to be trying to explain why I was so intolerant and you know, and all kinds of other things to that branch. I'd like that branch to say, hey, you know, well, you know, I'd love to be able to say to that branch, you're welcome back. I've been holding a place for you. And I know that theologically that, you
No,
know,
no, no, but you know what you're saying, and I love it because it's describing loosely mutual respect in a whole different angle.
hmm,
And I think we need to come up with as many different angles and approaches as possible, because although I think mutual respect is the most straightforward and foundational of concepts, it's basically in one ear and out the other for so many people. You know, in watching elements of Revive, you know, in the salute to Brad Scott, Alava Shalom of blessed memory, it, you know, you're talking about branches. Brad's ministry, wasn't it called Wild Branch Ministry?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, if I had a ministry, it probably would be called Crazy Off the Wall Branch. But the point is, if we can all accept that we're branches, you know, if we have trouble accepting that we're brothers and sisters, maybe let's go back to saying like we're all branches. And maybe just like you said, if I'm going to be on this tree here, I don't want to be lined up with some branch that, you know, I've been trash talking for the last 20 years.
You know, I'm thinking, Hanok, about a contest maybe that we could have of, you know, name the Hanok Young Ministry based upon the olive tree, you know, insane branch, crazy branch, you know, we could do that. And whoever wins that gets a free watermelon ice cream in Israel on the tour.
Or maybe they could even have a flavor that someone other than Mike Clayton likes too. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, you
You
mean
know,
there's other flavors of ice cream in Israel than watermelon?
okay, the best one, in my humble opinion, you know, there's a thing called Lotus biscuits, which is, you know, these cookies that have that like are melt in your mouth. They have ice cream in that flavor. They also have cashews that are covered with lotus cookie crumbs. I mean, I've, you know, it's amazing what kind of trouble you can get yourself into when for 16 months you're, your whole life is like, whoa, what kind of treat can I give myself this week?
I'm just thinking that if you got confused, you'd end up picking up the locust biscuits, which is what John the Baptist was eating, right?
Well, you know, I got to tell you, it was probably a little more healthful, And it probably would be a little easier on the gallbladder, I have to say. But you never know.
It may
Who's to
be,
say?
maybe. So hold on. This thing of
Yeah,
Pinchas. There's different teachings regarding where him and Cosby, where Cosby and all these were going, and the names there are intriguing to me. Of, the guy's name means my music, and her name means a lie, and her father's name I think means a rock. And so it's like, this lying rock instead of the truth rock of Mount Sinai, and he's wanting to play to his own music instead of the father's music. I mean, the picture there is so amazing. There's different
absolutely.
aspects of this, of where, if it was, were they actually going into the Kodesh Kodeshim, the Holy of Holies, or was it a separate tent? But the truth to me is this: how did this couple get past everyone else in the camp? Pinchas is like the last guardian there of, they had to go through all these other people. Why wasn't it someone else in the camp that said, no, you're not going past here, but instead just kind of stood back on the sideline and said, well, I guess I'll just see what happens?
I think it's the classic, hey, I'm not getting involved. And my pay grade, no. Let one of the bosses do it.
So
Of
it
course,
comes down to, I'm not a Levite. Why should I get involved?
or it's like, did they, like, you ever see some, I don't know if this happens in Franklin, but like, do you ever see like people walk by and they're dressed, or their tattoos or their makeup or something is like really strange, and like you kind of like, you walk past them and then you say, what? Did they just have half their head shaved? And the guy was wearing, eyeliner, and you kind
Yeah,
of be like,
and I can tell
not
you,
right.
the reason I can tell you that we have that in Franklin is because we have a Walmart.
I used to think that all those Walmart jokes about people, wearing pajamas or wearing clothes that they used to wear 26 years before and no longer fit them, I thought that was all an exaggeration until I actually went to, and going to Walmarts across America for me is a tremendous thrill. It's kind of pathetic that that's a thrill for me, but really, it's a slice of Americana, so to speak.
Well, and you've lived in places like, foreign countries like the Bronx and Modain that don't have Walmarts. So,
No,
to imagine a society that doesn't have a Walmart or a
it
Dollar Tree or something like that, you guys are really, with as high tech as you are, you got a long ways to
it's
go.
it's sad.
You
It's
have
sad, but
nowhere to
I
you
I
have
do
nowhere to
know
bring.
that
Uh,
I found out about it very late. Are we frozen again?
you just froze up a little bit on your video, but not
Or
your
you've been
audio.
zapped by?
There you have it. He'll be back in just a moment. Now we get to do the Jeopardy theme song, waiting for him to come back, and hopefully he will at some point in time. Hello, are you there? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh,
Yeah, there you are. Okay.
here I am.
Yeah, here. Yeah,
I
we started talking about
oh,
Walmart, and look what happens.
well, but that is kind of scary. We have no Walmarts, we have no Costco's, we have no Sam's Clubs. We did have, Amazon had free shipping to Israel for a very brief period of time.
Hmm.
I found out about it like pretty late in the game, and it was up to a certain limit. After $75 of a purchase, we have to pay like 20% tax on every, like single penny after that. And, imported goods here are very expensive.
Yeah.
So it became like a national sport of how you can order like, $74.95 worth of something, and not go over, what kind of things. It's really, I just picked up about 2 years ago, Advil. It became available here. And recently I had hurt my back. So I said, okay, there's Advil. So I bought the liquid gel caps, whatever, a box of 80 of them. And it was 74.9 shekels, 74.90. So what's funny is I can calculate it, but until I step away from the counter after paying and say, that was just $22.95. It's like, suck it up, Buttercup, get used to the pain.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Well, I'm actually thinking that, do you know what it means to you guys in Israel that you do not have a Walmart or a Dollar Tree or Dollar General? Do you really know what that means? I mean, it means that you have nowhere.
I could think of a.
It means that you have nowhere to wear your pajamas in public.
And on so many levels, that's incredibly good because it is funny to see the way Israelis dress. It's kind of scary, but that's okay. It's really, it is what it is. Let me give you a little quick update on what's going on in Israel.
Yeah, let's do something that's actually relevant.
Well, actually, speaking about Pinchas, I think was very relevant. We spoke about Revive. We covered so many things already. There was a citizenship law, that did not pass. It comes up for renewal every year. That's to prevent Israeli citizens who marry a resident of the Palestinian Authority. In other words, let's say, Muhammad in Jerusalem marries, I don't know, Suleima in Hebron. Suleima then gets automatic Israeli citizenship. So that prevented it. But the law, which was originally put in by the Likud and has been law since 2003, was shot down early this morning in a vote because Netanyahu and the entire opposition voted against it. In other words, screw the security of the state of Israel. Bibi voted it down. So, out of spite. Oh, by the way, recently, also in the last week. By the way, every once in a while, if you check, your news, and you'll find that like some nuclear power plant in Iran, like spontaneously combusted or something. I wonder who did that. Every time they do fire, send arson balloons at us, we immediately attack them.
Wow.
But this is, so this is our new government. They're doing the right things. But the entire situation is crazy. This Delta variant is chewing us apart here, COVID-wise. We went from about 3 to 10 new cases a day to 501 yesterday. So sadly, as we've discussed, the opening up of tourism, is postponed yet again. And we can only hope and pray. Israel is sending 700,000 doses of vaccine over to South Korea, of which we'll get 700,000 of the South Korean batch when they get theirs in the fall.
So this brings us to an announcement that we've got to make, is that
Yeah.
once again our Connect Israel tour is scheduled for November is going to be postponed. So people that have their deposits in will be receiving a letter from Blossoming Rose in the near future, but you know, they have the option of either letting their deposit just kind of ride into the next wherever, or getting that back. That's up to them. The good news is we still plan. You and I still plan. I mean, you know, as soon as something happens, we have the ability, you know, with people on the ground to put something together very, very fast. And so if anyone is like, well, I've been thinking of how about taking this as an opportunity of, you know, maybe I should go ahead and put that money to the side,
Yeah.
so that when things open, you're not trying to figure it out. Go ahead and, you know, maybe, and once again, it's like you've talked about so many times of where's that coffee can? Where's that, that, you know, as two friends of ours did a 5-gallon, you know, change fund. Maybe the Father's waiting for you to put the first $5 into that coffee can, and then, you know, don't wait. So, well, you know, if this comes in, no, go ahead and find a $5 bill and make that your Israel fund, and start putting stuff. And you know, you never know what it may be that the Father decides to, you know, kind of push some things because you've made the first step.
My mother, Alea Shalom, of blessed memory, always used the cliche, God helps those who help themselves.
Mm.
And to ask for, you know, I think the next person that says to me, oh, I would love to go with you and Mike to Israel, you know, when the Lord provides a way, I think I will slap them.
Well, you know,
Because you cannot just depend on the Lord inspiring someone to come and hand you a check of several $1,000s. I know cases when it's happened,
oh yeah,
but you may want to come up with a plan B just in case.
you know, it's a funny thing, Hanok. In fact, I just met a couple of people this morning. You know, when I mentioned Israel, it was like, wow, you know, we'd been one time and it was incredible. And the guy asked me, he says, Mike, out of all the places in Israel you go, where's your favorite? And I looked at him and said, yes. And I had only met him like 5 minutes earlier, so he was like staring at me. But you know, in conversation with people, we talk about where you've lived along the way. And I say, you know, well, I spent 7 years in Alaska. And so many people, I mean, multitudes of people have said, wow, I've always wanted to go. And I turn around and say to them, then do something to make that happen. You know,
Yeah.
don't come to the place in your life that you've always wanted to do something, but you never made plans for it. I know things happen, but you know, I mean, we have funds set aside for when Israel opens up. That's just not even an option. I mean, I just want to go breathe. That's when I get off the plane. If you meet me at the airport, you know, just get out of my way for a while. I'm just going to stand there and breathe. You know, get the oxygen back in my lungs, because right now it's like, you know, COVID's the thing about, you know, it deprives your lungs of oxygen. Being out of Israel has deprived my very being of the oxygen. And, you know,
I totally understand that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
totally get
I
that.
know you do. I know you do. So
Yeah.
your plans are probably to be in the States later in this year, God willing, Bezrat Hashem, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm still kind of dancing around trying to get the surgery scheduled,
Okay.
my gallbladder removal. They have urged me not to fly overseas until that's done. The idea of winding up in an American hospital with no insurance is a very unappealing situation.
I know a doctor. I mean, you know, or we could, you know, we could put you in a Holiday Inn Express. I'm sure there's somebody there that would be smart enough, right?
the surgeon, Dr. Vadim Nerzhavovsky. And what's interesting is trying to discuss all of this between my Hebrew and his English. His English is not bad, but it's his third language,
Okay.
after Russian and Hebrew. So the thing is, I think I'm cute and clever in any language, which is a real problem for me. First of all, thinking that way is a real problem. So I asked him, he's explaining how they do the surgery. It's laparoscopic. So I said, well, while you're inserting whatever, why don't you just lay in a set of 6-pack abs, and then I don't have to do as much exercise?
I can't wait.
And, he's looking at me, and, then that's when I'm thinking, like, did I just tell him I thought his mother was cute or something? Sometimes you say the wrong thing. You're speaking in and humor, doesn't translate into languages.
No,
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. No matter how cute I think I am, I'm not. And it's anyway, he said he doesn't think it will be possible. But with a straight face and this heavy Russian accent, I don't think it is possible. Like Vadim, I was joking. It was a joke. Not a
So,
very fun one, but a joke.
so
Like,
for a person that's not known for much drinking, you're going to wake up for the 6-pack of Budweiser stuffed into the place where your gallbladder was, right?
just now I thought of that commercial with the frogs, but why, sir? This is really, first, and now I think of another commercial. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. It's a shame what I've done with mine. It really is.
It is.
Today's t-shirt message, of course, is nothing changes if nothing changes.
Got that.
So, and that, I hope someone said something similar to that throughout the Revive conference that you just attended, that it's not just to excite people for a couple of days. And I got to tell you, watching your presentation, it was really cool to see, Jan Odell. And, of course, as the camera pans, there's a Rosie Connor and a Katie Connor. And, of course, really, I don't know if all 17 of them are there or not. I don't know. But it was,
Yeah, there was only 2 of the Connors that were represented, but there's going to be a couple more represented down in Canton this week, and
oh, great.
Yeah, so they're making their debut in various places.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and of course Daniel and Casey were there, and that was an amazing thing with the working with the youth. There was something that I will not forget. It gives you hope that we have somewhere we're going. I mean, these youth, to see them break out into spontaneous worship, prayer, praying for one another. There's no way to really describe what that looks like. People have, it's kind of like I said this as I was talking about Brad, that Brad had a passion for youth. And
Yeah.
I think it was really at Kol HaMashiach in Lake City when the 2 of us had dinner together, that passion, his passion, was kind of passed on to me at that time. And what I so appreciate about Brad is that he did not look at the youth as punishment, as some do. He did not look at the youth as, well, this is who I have to talk to pay the price to get to talk to the adults. In fact, I think he might have looked at it the opposite way is that I have
Yeah.
to pay the price of talking to the adults so that I can talk to the youth. That's
I
how.
totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Because young people aren't jaded. They haven't learned the head games that adults play. They haven't learned the duplicity, the undercutting. It's like, and even among the really young kids, not the youth, but the young kids. Ever notice why young kids are not racist?
Yeah.
Because to be racist, you have to be taught.
Yeah.
You have to be trained to do that, to hate. They're pure. And they will be the generation that helps redeem us all for the restoration of all of Israel.
No doubt about that. All right. Hey, it's been fun. I needed a little bit of laugh here just to kind of put my head back on straight to get going again in the right direction. So take care of that gallbladder, and
Sure.
if maybe you need to find another doctor, you can get a second opinion about the six pack.
Or maybe just go back and do it the old fashioned way. Bum
Mm.
bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum 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 ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum.
Let me teach you the words of Paul, Rob Shaul. Let me teach you a word from one of his books and writings. He said, bodily exercise profits little.
Well, you just showed me something else I have to disagree with him on, but that's okay.
Well, you got to go back and look at the context of it, of course, of what he was saying. But it does profit. But he was talking about godliness profits more, of course, and that's something we totally agree on, no matter what. So
Shown up.
we can work on that spiritual six pack, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Talk
Mike, have a
later.
good one.
You too,
Take
man.
care. Shalom. Bye bye.